I'm going to start with you. After such a tumultuous week, what was the atmosphere like in Baltimore? You were at the game.
Well, Maggie, I thought in the pregame hours, it definitely was a little bit more subdued than your typical Ravens-Steelers game. I've been at a lot of that particular rivalry games, and it's always one of the most spirited, smash-mouth type of games you can watch in an NFL season. Fans seemed a little tentative. They weren't quite sure how much enjoyment they should be showing. But I thought that changed once the game started and once the action kind of took their focus toward the field. It seemed like a fairly typical crowd, although by the standards of the Steelers-Ravens rivalry, I think subdued is probably the best word I could describe it with.
Don, on TV, they showed quite a few people wearing Ray Rice jerseys. You were there in person. Did it feel like a lot of people were representing Ray Rice by wearing his jersey?
I did not walk around the stadium as my colleague on the MMQB, Jenny Vrentas, did, but I did see a number of signs of support, and I think there was a certain faction there last night who they were trying to say we may not like what he did, but we still believe in the person, and we also didn't like the way the situation was handled. In essence, he was kind of scrubbed clean of Ravens history overnight, and even the jersey buyback, while probably good intentioned, I think it hit some people the wrong way, as if he was never here, we're going to forget him and move on. Some people simply felt like he's not been dealt with entirely fairly by the Ravens and the NFL, and I think there was a faction of people who wanted to show that in wearing number 27.
Richard, I'll go to you. What did you make of the fans who were wearing Ray Rice jerseys to the game last night?
I think Don spoke well on that issue to sort of try to get a little bit of the context. It's just very hard, Maggie, to determine what individuals are thinking. I think it's a little dangerous. It's always dangerous, just in any situation, to try to get a sense of groupthink when each individuals make their decision. So I think there's no doubt, like Don said, I imagine some people wanted to make a statement in that while they find the act reprehensible, they support the player, or they support that they think the player has been wrong. But I also, Maggie, would think that I think some people just like to create a little bit of anarchy. I think some people like to be iconoclasts. I think some people like attention. And I would imagine there are those reasons as well why people wore Ray Rice jerseys. I will say this, though. I did see a photo with like 25 people posing in Ray Rice jerseys, sort of posing, primping around like it was pro wrestling. And, I got to be honest with you, you look at that just sort of from an outsider's perspective, and you're like, what honestly is the message you guys are trying to send by wearing that jersey? And at least for me, it does come off a little disturbing.
Dan, you're in here next to me nodding along, looking at some of the photos.
Yeah.
And what's your thoughts on people wearing the Ray Rice jerseys?
Well, I think Richard's right that a lot of people just like to stir up controversy and look at us. We're going to be attention grabbers. We're going to be on camera. But the other thing is whenever a player misbehaves, you hear the argument sometimes that, well, it doesn't affect his talent and his skill. And so as bad as what has happened is, people say, I'm not justifying it, but he's a great Ravens player and he's been great for the team. And I owned his jersey before, and I'm not just going to tear it up and cut it up now because he did this thing off the field. So the justification becomes, he's still an amazing running back who I'm going to root for if he's on my team.